Hello everybody, my name is Amol Patel. You're watching the Smoking Hot Coffee Show, where Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we talk to startup founders and other people in the startup world. I'm joined with...
Hey guys, I'm Jeff Pelton down here in San Diego.
And today we have another great interview with Liam Gooding from Tracheo. It was really wonderful. We spent almost an hour and a half talking about all the different parts of the funnel, the sales funnel, from conversions to his customer acquisition, to why he even built the product in the first place, how it came about. We covered so many things about content marketing.
All the usual startup questions, right?
I mean, so many ideas and thoughts that came out of this interview. Jeff, what does Tracheo do? Why don't you give us a brief overview?
Yeah, so for everyone listening, it is trak.io is the web URL, and it's analytics for data-driven startups. So we talk about another interesting thing in startups is, gosh, there sure are a lot of big incumbents in this field, right? There's Google Analytics, there's Omniture, which is just freaking massive for enterprise stuff. And then in the startup world, there's stuff like Kissmetrics and Mixpanel and a bunch of others that are like highly loved and regarded in the startup industry. But there's still room. There's still problems to be solved. And I think Tracheo is taking a relatively fresh look at the problem and helping really focus on, like we talked about, a recurring theme, Amol, is for startups, what do you do? You're two people. You only have so many hours in the day. Maybe you don't even have all 5 days a week, because you got to make some bread and butter in 1 day a week. This really seems to help you focus and figure out what metric it is you're trying to push and how you can actually move the needle.
Absolutely. This is the biggest problem that all startups have, is obviously having a great product, and product market fit is a big problem. But then once you have the idea and you're making it, what are the key parts that you should be working on? Liam gives his point of view on it, and his thoughts were you should kind of have a big overall thing, have all the parts working well, and then go in and detail it out. And he goes into how Tracheo fits in that vision of his. It's really great how you can segment certain parts of the funnel, like people that are signed up but haven't come back, people that are signed up but haven't used the product for a while, people that may have come through your blog or through content.
So the part that I was interested in is how can you use this data to be actionable? And I think what Liam was telling us was to go for the big wins first. Don't go after your conversion rate in one place because Quora says it should be better. Go for the stuff, the big targets, get the whole thing flushed out before you start going in and diving into the nitty gritty. So the other thing that I thought was great about they use the AARRR metrics, which are acquisition, activation, retention, revenue, and referral, are just like the main ones that you should be keeping an eye on. And when we looked at the user profiles that they have for the analytics, it really does provide this comprehensive picture of that user on your application, including everything, including the revenue that you've earned from them, and all sorts of extra information, which is just really beautiful and valuable for a founder or product guy.
Absolutely, I love it. I love it. AARRR. That's a great acronym.
Metrics.
Acquisition, activation, retention, revenue, referral. How many people are actually using your products? How many people are actually tweeting about your products? How many of the people that got the tweet or got the email or got the Facebook post are coming back and actually signed up because of that, in this case referral? All of these things are so important for any startup, especially new startups. So I think Tracheo has hit upon something very, very important. I think these guys are going to do very well. Liam talked about how he writes these really long blog posts and how he gives away all this great content, how many people are coming through his blog. If nothing else, guys, you should definitely read this blog if you want to know the cutting edge of digital marketing that's working for startups now.
He's certainly an expert in his field, and he's poured a lot of knowledge and research into the blog.
Absolutely. So there's a ton of stuff you're going to learn from this, guys. I highly recommend you watch this or have it playing in the background while you're working and doing whatever you're doing. Some really great actionable information here. So with that, please send us emails. We love getting your emails at info@smokinghotcoffee.com, and sign up on download us on Twitter, or not Twitter, Stitcher, and iTunes. And we've recently made some updates to our website, so if you guys can give us your feedback on that, that'd be really great. Jeff?
Yeah, guys, we've recently cleaned up the website, so go take a look, tell us what you think, and make sure to sign up because we're going to start emailing a weekly newsletter. So if you want to get the updates where maybe you don't see them in your feed, but also you can come to the subscribe link and find all of the channels we're on, including iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, RSS, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Google Plus if you want to be on there, AngelList, LinkedIn, you name it. If there's anywhere else you want us to be, tell us.
Yeah. So there's a plethora of ways to get a hold of us and to connect with us. I recommend iTunes and Stitcher. I love those guys, and of course YouTube. One last thing I want to point out is Liam was really nice enough to give us a coupon code. So for those that are watching our show, the coupon code is on the video. So definitely check out the video and check out the beta. It's an amazing product, and there's a lot of really good stuff in there. If you're a startup, you should definitely hook into. So with that, Jeff, should we cut to the show?
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Thanks for coming on the show again, Liam. How you doing today, man?
Yep, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. So,
Cool.
so Liam, where are you at right now?
So I'm in Canterbury, in UK.
Okay.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, so just out of London.
So I live in Los Angeles, and the street that I live on is called Cardiff.
No. This is Canterbury, Kent, UK. Yeah.
Yeah. Very different. Yeah. But
Yeah,
we got a
very
little bit of
different.
our British thing going on my street here. Anyway, so really quickly here, tell us about your startup. Tell us about why you're doing this. What problem are you solving? And what were the big problems in the beginning getting this thing going?
Okay, cool. So we started Tracheo it's still really new. So it's we're pretty recent, like 3.5 months into the journey.
Okay.
But we actually discovered the problem on our last product startup. Which was called Virally. It's still going. The company's still there.
Okay.
And so we knew we needed to be data driven. Like every startup's told they need to be data driven. Not much really tells you how that works in practice.
Yeah.
Too much. So we were kind of just figuring it out as we went along. All software engineers. Like I owned like a co-working space, a software agency. So we were like in that startup scene.
Right.
Okay, so we're doing that in the startup thing and signed up a ton of customers, did a load of marketing, everyone flooded into this product, and then about halfway down the funnel, like it just died. Like it was like the activation stage, right? So
Gotcha.
we like sign up rates on like conversion rates to registrations, fantastic. Open rates on emails, fantastic.
Right.
But activation was awful. But we're just like, that's fine. Like we'll spend a ton of time integrating credit card processing. We'll collect some money. Like that'll validate. Like that'll be fine.
Right.
And like obviously this went forward, and obviously it doesn't work, right? Like
Okay.
if you got a leaky funnel, like we were throwing like £6,000-7,000 a month of AdWords spend,
Right.
and it's getting so far down this funnel and just
Right.
dying, right?
Right. Right.
So
Alright, So wait. So really briefly, I'm gonna go back here. So you had a product called Virally, right?
yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're trying to obviously get this product going, get some people through the sales funnel, get some people traffic, get them to convert, and you started realizing, hey, something's wrong here. And did
Yeah.
you look around for other dashboards for startups, or why did you build your own?
Yeah, so we were funded, so we had seed funding. So naively, we're like, the funnels aren't great. We'll just throw more AdWords dollars. People get through the funnel, it'll be fine.
Right.
And we had like some big enterprise customers, so it worked. And then so we're like, okay, we'll put Mixpanel, Kissmetrics. Like we pretty much use like every product out there. Okay.
Right.
So we're like, and we also built like some in-house stuff. So we had like a complete funnel visualization of the
wow.
entire product.
Wow.
So everything was all baked into the product, right?
Okay.
And I found myself spending like 3-4 hours out of my days like just inside these products,
Inside these other products, Kissmetrics. And all
yeah,
the other ones.
inside the analytics product. So we've got like a 30-stage funnel, and we're optimizing every single stage in this funnel.
Right.
And then that's the activation funnel, and then we've got the acquisition. And by the end of it, like the startup was acquired, which was cool. So that's all gone well. But
Okay.
we kind of realized when we looked back, like my time was pretty much spent like 30-40%. Like
I love it. I love it.
buried under data.
So the existing off-the-shelf or off-the-cloud software was working, but it wasn't as efficient as you would like it to have been.
100%. 100%. Like it was too much. It was too easy to get. I mean, you know, some of this is methodology, some is product, but it was just so easy to just get buried in the data, in the metrics. You know, we were monitoring 50 things at once. We had an investor dashboard with 20 KPIs. We had a team dashboard with 20 KPIs. We got all these different stages in funnel, and it's just like
overload.
You know, like you're trying to be a product manager as well. You're trying to recruit a team, like trying to do all this stuff, and like we were just buried. Like we were buried.
You'd become like a full-time analyst, just staring at these numbers. Like the numbers, maybe the product was all there, but you would just found yourself like just going through the numbers inside and out.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, 100%. You know, we had A, B, C, D tests on everything. Like, you know, everything's a split test. Like, everything's like, right, what's the cohort analysis? And you're looking at a matrix, and you're like, right, which week was our best week? And
holy shit, man, this is intense. All right, so you guys got acquired. Though. That's good news. What was this product? Tell me a little about that.
Well, so Virally was. I mean, it's actually. I think it's probably going to become like an enterprise tool. So we had like quite a few customers, but like one huge enterprise customer who was pretty much like, this is perfect for us.
I love it. You land some of these big enterprise guys and you're done almost, you know?
But, you know, there's like enterprise sales cycle, enterprise support cycle, like 9-12 months. Like it wasn't what we knew, wasn't where we were like specialist at. So one of the seed investors, one of our original investors was like, you know, I'll buy this, I'll take this. You guys seem to already be thinking about this next idea. You guys want to go kill it. So I'll do this. You'll have some money to start, to do the next idea. So,
can you tell us really briefly what was this product? Is it still up there? Can we go to the site?
Yeah. So it's Virally, VIRALLY app.com, and it's essentially a way to do like data capture on forms using social login.
Okay,
so it's the idea that
Facebook authentication, Twitter authentication, and it just captures.
It started off like you download white papers using your LinkedIn account. So you get the viral spread and you get the data capture out of LinkedIn. And we fast realized that we were a content marketing consultancy with this cool product, which no one else had.
Okay. Well, let me get this straight here. Couldn't you just simply do an OAuth plugin and bam, you already got the emails? I don't understand. What exactly is? What's on top of this product?
So Virally was yeah. I mean, end of the day, we were going into like the marketing teams and we're like, okay, here it is.
You're building landing pages. Okay, so we're going through this right now a little bit. Holy cow.
Yeah, so it was like we went into marketing, we gave it to marketing, and they had campaigns live while their engineering.
So you had a whole GUI. Gotcha.
Yeah, and this is where it really kind of sat into enterprise a lot better because little scrappy startup guys, they're coders, they're writing the ebooks, they're pushing it live, like they're doing the full cycle, okay?
Exactly, yeah.
But obviously a marketing team, they just want to get their white paper out there, get 500 leads,
Right.
So that was where Virally sat. But the problem was it was because we were dealing with non-technical customers, when they got to the small technical part inside our products onboarding, they were failing. They were just falling off straight away.
Okay.
And we weren't properly looking at this from a data-driven approach.
Okay. And when you say you weren't properly looking at it, you did mention you have all these different analytics packages. So you were looking at it, but it was just not properly. You guys weren't properly slicing it and properly. Instead of the 50 key metrics, maybe just the 5, or am I hearing that right?
Yeah, 100%. So it was, we were doing nothing, and then we were like, okay, we've got to set these products up. It was like everything all at once. So it was kind of like too much data overload. Right. We kind of stopped, we stopped seeing the wood from the trees, so we got too close to the data.
Liam, this is a fucking huge problem, man. I'm sorry. This is a huge problem for every startup. We're all being pummeled by 40 different email newsletters, 50 pings. There's so much information coming at us. How do you know what to cut out? Forget about just the key metrics, just your normal day. Information overload. It's a big problem. How do you deal with it on a personal level? I'm just curious.
So back then I started doing like a daily schedule, and it sounds so autistic talking about it now, but it's like between 9 and 9:30 I tweet. and between 10 and 12 I blog. And it's like, if I get halfway through a post and it's not done, fine, goes to the next day and I'll finish it the next day. You know, I do the thing like, so I only open my email client every half hour or so, things like that.
So
but generally like, yeah,
helps.
100%, like self-hacking, like any startup founder, like if a startup team's like, okay, we now need to get another developer, another designer, another marketer, like you just need to look at yourself and like hack your life a little bit first and just get,
I like that.
do you know what I mean? Like there's, like if you look at startup founders, like in the UK, like, you know, a great developer, a great designer, someone who will become a startup founder, you can get like 80, 90,000 pound salaries, right? But then a startup's going to go and hire their first hire at like 40,000. But like the overhead on that person's not worth it. So it's like, what can you get out of your original team? Like, so still, you know, simple things down to you have to leave the office at 6 because you want to get home and do your laundry or whatever. Like, no, get a maid. Like, get a VA. Like, get a virtual assistant. Like, hack your own productivity. Go to the gym. Get more energy. Eat better. So yeah, that's how we started surviving.
I like that,
and that's
man.
how
I like that. It's a lot easier said than done, but I agree with you. There's a lot of productivity in our own
it's a
workday.
beautiful approach. I mean, I think we're just like Will saying, information overload on the computer. I mean, I'm really interested what you found in those hours that you were spending looking at your analytics, and how'd you condense that down? What did you find were the things that were the most important for, you know, your business and that people should be looking at, so they're not, you know, spending, because hey, and we're guilty of this too. Let me just mention, as a podcast, you know, we love our vanity metrics, right? Just every day waking up and saying, how many downloads do I have? How many views? How do we stay away from that?
Okay, so like everyone loves measurement. Like as just humans, like we love for stuff to be measured, right? Like if we can measure something, like fuck it, it's great. And like, you know what, a year ago, that's gamification, but like we've been measuring shit for ages, right? So like, I mean, the actual first like the first MVP of Tracheo that we put out was like a trends screen, and it was essentially like graphs that went up and to the right. Like, so that's what we showed people, and like you can still see it rotating on the homepage. And that's like, that hooked people because they're like, wow, more graphs, wow, I've got to have this tool, even more graphs. But like when we were actually cutting the data up, and when I was like, you know, spending like hours a day like analyzing everything that the product team were doing, because I mean, like Viley was like a 6-person startup team, like all engineering, everyone's building tons of stuff, and then I'm like measuring like what's working, what's getting affected. Like the 80-20, like so you know what you can do to get the 80% return, and then when you start getting the diminishing returns in the 20%, like in our opinion, and like a load of startup founders will probably hate this, but big complex cohort matrices, like, no, useless, stupid. Like which like, right, we're dealing at acquisition, okay? Like which traffic sources send us the most registered users? Sort that out, boom, done, move on. Like don't play about making a button red, a button blue. Like put up a great landing page. Did your conversion rate go from 8% to 30%? Boom, move on. Like there is a whole funnel to fix in the really early stages of a startup, and you can get so much of the way there by getting a first glance, seeing if something worked or didn't work, and then once you've got a full funnel, then that's when you go back to, you know, the stages, and then you're like, right, let's get an extra, you know, 3% on that conversion rate. Let's get those click-through rates in the emails. And I think that's where we realized as a product, we like, so back in the previous startup, we weren't doing. We were optimizing every single stage when really, you know, there was much bigger things to fry. I think like I saw one of you had the founder of Blossom.io on, right? And talking a lot about like in a startup knowing what to work on next. Like Blossom.io is like a sexy tool anyway, right? But it's such a big problem. Like growth hackers, startups using data, they don't always know what to work on next. Like it's an easy answer. Like, what's the next stage in your funnel? Are you smashing it yet? If not, fix that. Like, don't squeeze the 2% here, the 1% there. Like, and that's where
you're a big fan of this whole sort of overall get all the pieces of the funnel working pretty good, and then go in and detail out. That's your
100%. Like when you're analyzing, like when you're looking at your so let's say your conversion rate on your free users. So users have registered, they've activated, and then you're looking at your free users to paid, right? Like there is no way you can look at that metric in context properly without comparing it to your current registration rate, your current landing page rate. Because if you're looking at this, let's say you've got a 1% free to pay conversion rate, and you've read on Quora that should be 3. Okay, so you're like, I really need to fix that 3%, you know. And you're like, oh, I need to get that, like, let's start tweaking the pixels, like, why don't we have an extra, like, hello bar pushing as free users, why don't we do a little pop-up, let's have a modal, and, like, suddenly, like, your development team's bandwidth is clogged up with all this stuff, right? So bugs are getting slower, like, the new bigger features aren't getting done. And actually, like, if you stood back, you'd go like, well, guys, like, our acquisition sucks. Like, we're only getting like 5% registrations on the landing page. So you know, like, while you're like obsessing about optimizing the free to paid, and you're clogging up all the product team with that, like, your marketing efforts are completely being wasted because those guys are just like falling like waves on a rock on your homepage. So you've got to keep looking at everything in context. You know, you've got to focus on one metric at a time, but in the context of, you know, your pirate metrics funnel, you know, your R funnel.
Let me tell you, Liam, I'm loving this, man. This is you're singing like the beautiful notes. This is exactly what I want to talk about, man. When I came across your startup, when I came across it, I was like, this is awesome. I mean, I love the beauty of it. It's very clean. It's very minimal. I loved your landing page. Let's, you know, if you don't mind, can we go through your maybe through some test data that you put up, and maybe you can tour.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Okay, so what we've done is
here we go.
Yeah, so we've exaggerated like our own data that we see right now. Okay. So this is like pretty much all like the most significant patterns that we're seeing at the moment right now on like Tracheo's own stuff. So obviously we use, you know, we're dog fooding, we use Tracheo for Tracheo, right? Okay. So this is like your metrics dashboard. So this is what, you know, we're talking about in terms of seeing the whole thing in context at one time. And, you know, this is all completely customizable. Like, you set this up how you want, okay? Okay. So, like, this little, like, HUD mode is essentially like...
Let me if I don't mind stopping you here. So the first thing we're seeing is viewed landing page, and we have a bar that says 1.08K. So is that per week, per month, per day?
Okay, sorry, I should have skipped 2 steps. So the screen we've set up at the moment is a week-on-week comparison. So again, vanity metrics, like a lot of startups want to know, like, how many total users have we got, like how many total paying customers have we got. Like, total paying customers, like, in the other days means nothing. Like, a startup is like, you know, you're not trying to make revenue, you're trying to get more customers to validate your vision with their wallets, right? So it's not about how many total customers you've got, it's like, how many customers have you got this week compared to last week? Is it getting better? If not, you did something wrong this week, fix it. Okay. So we try and focus, like, although you can, you know, put in date ranges and you know, this screen you can drill down, you can cut it in, you know, 3 dimensions, do whatever you want with it. But we try and suggest, you know, 5 or 6 key metrics, right? Focus on, you know, one metric that matters, and you know, roughly using the R metrics funnel. We do it week on week, so we're always comparing this week to last week, or a month on month, this month to last month. Okay. And then like, these are non-linear funnels, so you know, someone doesn't necessarily have to go through these events in this order, but you'll just naturally see, you know, the numbers will get smaller as it goes down. So this is kind of like the most vanity that Tracheo's dashboard is going to get.
In your opinion, I mean, we're seeing a few things up on the screen right now: viewed landing page, signed up, installed embed code, and then signed in, subscribed, referred. Are these, in your opinion, like some of the big ones that everybody should be focused on, or is it just a ramp?
So I mean, the one that I'd probably take off, and I mean, one thing about this is like, everything's retroactive, so you can pull metrics on and off of this at any time. Like, these are worked out from your existing event data. So you know, you set up, you track events in your app, and then rather than showing you like all your data, you come in and say which metrics you want to look at right now. But you know, yeah. So at the moment we've set up like, viewed landing page is like the acquisition stage of the funnel. Like, if I'm honest, like, we take that away every now and again. and we start with just the signed up. So, you know, registering for your waiting list. But I mean, there's no mistake that you'll see this is following acquisition, activation, retention, revenue, referral. So that, you know, Dave McClure,
it's almost like a big overview right here, the whole funnel.
Tell us about that acronym real quick. Dave McClure, you're about to say, did he come up with that, or is that just a popular set of metrics to look at?
No, so Dave McClure's like Pirate Metrics. I mean, it's old. I think it's like 2007, 2006 or something. And it's essentially just a really, really simple framework that every startup needs to look at when they're growing or when they're starting out. You know, whether it's you're finding validation on your MVP or you're scaling, you know, as a growth hacker. Okay. And it's you know, it's some guys are, you know, calling it like the lean marketing funnel, you know, the Pirate Metrics funnel, the startup funnel. At the end of the day, like, you know, users go through you know, a certain life cycle when they're using a product. Like some startup founders are surprised by this, but people will fill out a huge registration form. Like, they'll look at your product, they're like, oh, this is a sexy product, like, I want this in my company. They'll like go to all the effort filling out a registration form, they'll confirm their email when it comes in, they'll get into your product, and then they'll be like, yeah, no, it looks like too much work. And they'll just leave, you know, so they'll never activate. And you know, everyone assumes like once you've signed them up on your homepage, the next stage is they love your product and then they pay you some money, right? And it like the stage and like onboarding users, like the new user experience, like it's more detailed than that. I mean, particularly like with Tracheo, like we're a developer product, right? So people can't really get the most out of this until they add some JavaScript code to their website or they set up their iPhone app with our API. So like we've got like an even bigger amount of friction to get users over. No, it's beautiful. I'm glad you mentioned actually mobile, because what you were saying made me think about how I've been thinking about mobile recently. I feel like developers or whoever's putting out all these apps get a lot of downloads, but that's not indicative of people using the apps. So do you just said you do have people tracking iPhone apps as well with your software? Yeah, so I mean we have so we built like a HTTP, like just a regular API, you know, sports server side, mobile iPhone straight away, and then we added the JavaScript API on top to make it easier for web app users. But yeah, Android and iPhone fully supported. I mean, we've got some beta testers building SDKs for both platforms as well, which is pretty cool.
Oh, beautiful.
So I mean, yeah, so they're tracking events such as first open, and like, so we've got some games using it, and they're looking at things such as completed the first level, and then at that point they'll consider that user as activated, like they've got the game, and then they're tracking that user all the way through to completing, you know, the first 6 levels that are free, and then how many go through the in-app purchase, and then how many are, you know, sharing their scores on Facebook and stuff like that. And
very nice.
Nice.
Yes.
That leads me into another question. I love in regards to the acronym, and at the bottom I think you have referrals. I think that's something that we might almost forget sometimes. How are you even counting that number? And I mean, that's awesome that it's all integrated.
Yeah, so I mean, 2 ways. I mean, so users who don't want to get too technical when they're first trying out with Tracheo, they can just track an event, which is just refer to user, or like, you know, it's not always like an absolute stage. It might be like posted a tweet. So a perfect example is Clout sends you an email and says, hey, your score just increased to 53. Tweet this to your network, right? So you tweet that link, and then that's you know, shouting to the Twitterverse. But then how many users click that link, come through, check out your score? You know, after checking out their score, sign in to find out their own score, sign up to get a new
So let me get this straight. So that referred is the person that did come back, or just the fact that you sent out that tweet and that's all you're tracking?
Yeah. So in this data that we've set up, that's showing like that could be anything. Like the event underneath, we could change and say like, we want to be more strict, and we're only considering it a referral when someone actually signs up through a referral. And like, but all the raw data underneath is tracked in the API. So every event that you track can be, you can add a parameter to say, you know, is this user ID referred this person, and then in theory we can, you know, completely follow that funnel down through 6th, 7th, 8th generation.
Wow.
That's powerful. It's something not a lot of other products have, if I don't believe.
No, I mean 100%. I mean, like I said, luckily the last startup that we did virally was, everything we did was analyzing, different species of viral networks. So, we were lucky enough that we got to see how, medical white papers spread through a small engaged audience of physicians compared to a review online about a brand new Nokia phone and how that spreads, among teenagers. So like we had a lot of experience on our last startup in realizing like how powerful referral data can be. And there's a ton online about building viral loops into your product and how it's the only true way to get like real scalability and like the Dropbox case studies, like everyone's heard of it. So there's a really complex way of doing that in Tracheo, and that's really powerful. But at the moment, we try and show it you in as simple a format as possible, and as we go down, we want to be able to like start exposing that data to you when we can do it without kind of overloading people.
I love it. So do you mind editing one of these, and maybe we can drill down?
Yeah, sure. So I mean, like I said, so this we've engineered this data, so it might not be like totally a thing. So name it whatever you want. And then the actual event, so these are like all the different events that this app is tracking. So close account, install embed code, referred user, signed up.
So this part is actually very interesting to me. So when you've obviously added these manually, would you at some later date offer a set that are just your normal events that you want to track in any SaaS startup? Like almost like a template?
So all of our technical onboarding, like all the guides that we do, all the drip emails, all the Skype chats I've been doing with his beta users is like literally only says let's do this together and let's track these 5 events in your app. Okay. So we're doing that on a support. So the product itself, is completely flexible and powerful. So if someone wants to switch away from a bigger, more complex tool like Kissmetrics, they can still do the exact same stuff in Tracheo. Okay. But when we advise users, like new users, perhaps like brand new startup founders, we do it completely from the perspective of the Pirate Metrics framework. So we say, right, here's your registration form, track an event called this. Here's your payment screen, track an event called this. And like the more like as a startup and like over the next few months, like the more that framework, like the more we start seeing more of our users using that framework, like the more automated we can make the product, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, if you've got a new startup and you wanna launch, bang, here's the new startup template, and you connect all these events. If you have like 100 events or 50 events, they're probably gonna be the same for a lot of these products.
Yeah. And it's like we can do a lot of like machine learning sort of stuff, like with obviously so we're not an expensive product, which means we've got to be careful like the size things we want to try and do. So we can't go and analyze like a startup's like millions of different events and then tell them, hey, we've noticed this pattern and this pattern. Right. But if we have a startup who's like they've followed our kind of like loosely defined framework and they're tracking like these 20 events which roughly fit into these 5 categories of event, we can send them an email like, hey, like we noticed your activation rate sucks. Okay. We've also gone and seen that like less than 3% of your users are actually reading your documentation. Okay. We think these 2 events might be related. So so when we can like the more the more
really
rigid
great.
the framework becomes,
Liam, you're basically saying that in a way you could become sort of a leading indicator for best practices for different startups and applying them to some of your other customers. If one customer is killing it, hey, you know what I'm saying?
100%. I mean, we're already getting these beta testers coming and asking us like, hey, this is my sign up rate. Is this good? Is this bad? Yeah. So like MailChimp are amazing for this. Like MailChimp will tell you if your subject lines are good or bad, if your open rates are good or bad. Mm-hmm. Like why can't we do that for startups? Yeah. Like why is it that everyone finds out that the ratio of paid to free users for a SaaS company should be 3% because an answer on Quora said so, right? Some really popular VC with a ton of friends said it's 3%, and so that's it. Everyone thinks that's the benchmark. We can go, actually, do you know what? Like the average is 8%. Like you're hitting way too low, being comfortable on 3%.
I love this, man. Have you considered possibly averaging or publishing some of these key metrics of all of your customers on a blog or something like that? Trends, trending, trend lines, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, so like the idea of using like like aggregate data, as part of our content marketing is like definitely
aggregate
there.
data, yeah.
The reason why we're not doing that the reason why we're not doing that this second is because we practice what we preach. Like our own acquisition right now, like is maxed. Like we're good. Like we've got enough beta testers.
Okay.
It's so now like even us. Well, okay, for us right now, it's activation.
Okay.
Like we're an API product. Like for the most part. So you'll notice like in the last month, our content marketing's really slowed down compared to 2 months ago.
Okay.
Whereas now I'm doing like 8, 9, 10 Skype chats a day.
Very nice. So you're saying your marketing, content marketing is slowed down because now you're doing the more one-on-one, figuring out what are the problems with the activation.
Yeah, 100%. We're a 2-person team. So when we're dealing with like the 5 stages of our customers, like when we tell users like only look at 5 things and only focus on one at a time, like we're doing exactly the same.
Okay.
So yeah, we didn't even think about revenue, payment, like from a technical point of view or anything.
Gotcha.
Until we didn't even build the product until we had over 300 signups. Okay. And then we opened command line and started writing stuff.
I love it. So do you mind? I'm sorry to interrupt. Do you mind going through the people and the trends at the top there?
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. So there's the data on the metrics, and then data can drive a startup, right? Data can tell you if what you thought was true is true or not, but like no one can tell you, like no one else can innovate outside of that experiment. So that's where like the qualitative stuff comes in, and so this is where you want to see the users of your app. You want to be able to say, do you know what? Like, show me all the users. So I've got a few fillers. Show me all the users who came to us from Quora. Okay. So we explored on the metric, and I'll go back and show you a bit more detail. Let's say we looked on the metric screen and saw that Quora is by far the highest conversion data source, right? Okay. So every customer who comes to our product through Quora, and like this is actually true in Tracheo, is by far more likely to go all the way through the funnel. Okay. Okay. So now I'm like, okay, what is that, right? So there's this guy, Tom Williams. So we pull in name, like any data that's tracked, we'll store, and then usually we'll see a timeline of what he's done. Like I said, we engineered this data about an hour ago.
I love the activity there. Oh, I love that. So you even got the dates when they signed up, what specific event happened. I love that. Yeah,
100%. And it's like I said, in like a live scenario, like this is a lot more active. There's you can see stuff that like they're doing. You can see stuff that your product's doing. So if you send out like an automated email for something, like that'll appear on this timeline. If they've paid, like you'll start getting revenue information over here. Like we're working on integration with peer index, social, like stuff like that.
This is beautiful, Liam. This part is beautiful.
These profile pages are amazing. I had a similar experience using Woopra back in the day. Had great real-time analytics when we were just starting out to watch people coming onto our site, and it was cool because you could see where each person had clicked in their navigation path. But this is just like that times 1,000. You have what the server is doing, like sending them emails, and then the other interactions. I think you even have things like if they tweet at your company, right? You're going to have that on that same page.
Yeah. And we're working on the tweet thing in particular. We put that on the mock-ups, right? So it was there on the designs, it was there on the homepage that people were signing up for, but we didn't build that feature. Like that was a hard feature to build at the time. It was going to take a day or two. So, so we just waited until someone said, "Hey, like, how come I can't see tweets on my timeline? Like, where's the tweets? You promised tweets." So we go and build it, right? And likewise, we had an integration for peer index, which is like it's like Clout, but based in the UK. Okay. So you can pull in, someone's peer index score, like their influence score online. And again, it's in the mock-ups, and people, we waited and waited, and someone was like, "Hey, where's the peer index score? How come I can't see this?" Right. So so you know, we'd like to think we're
That's
being
cool.
very lean
That's
in,
cool.
in that
Yeah,
sense.
so you basically have a list of possible features until somebody complains, then you build it. Yeah, I like that.
100%. Like design-led startup. Like, I can't believe how much is not in the lean startup about being design-led. Like, you can have like the best features in the world, but if you have a sucky interface, no one cares. No one's going to discover them, right?
Yeah.
So we're like, I mean, myself and my co-founder, we're not even designers.
Well, let me tell you, you guys are doing a beautiful design work here, man. For non-designers, this is gorgeous, man.
but you know, we looked around and, you know, we made 3 screenshots, right? So we made a screenshot of this people page. We made you know, a screenshot of a complete timeline, like how we imagine the product to look in like a year's time,
right.
and then a screenshot of the trend screen, which is, you know, like probably at the moment like the least used part of the product right now.
Okay.
So we made those 3 screenshots, and everyone said, "Wow, love the timelines, love the people screen." So we focused on that.
This is really great, Liam. Thanks for giving us a tour of this whole thing, man. It's beautiful work.
Yeah. What was this? Yeah. So this is what I was saying. Like, you know, the more people want to drill down, very visual. You know, like it's all very top level. So it's like, okay, like Google's bringing, you know, roughly half of the traffic coming in, goes down, right? Yep. Interestingly, like so, Hacker News. You know, Hacker News traditionally brings in a ton of traffic, and like, so this is an exaggerated truth that we see right now. Okay, Hacker News brings in a ton of traffic. Wow, great vanity. Google Analytics graphs going through the roof. Fantastic, all good. Follow it down the funnel, and you know so you know, it's getting smaller and smaller. Like, really, you know, do we care? And that's an exact.
Look at that. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah,
Quora, right there
for us. Awesome. Quora's great all the way through. Like, there's organic results great all the way through. And again, I'm just going to show the other breakdown. So we do channels. It's basically a way to say, like, your marketing website, your blog, your email, etc., etc. So this is like, what was the first time like we saw the user? So, you know, at the moment for Tracheo, most of our users are coming in through the blog, and then they stick with us all the way through the funnel from the blog. Whereas, you know, the website has a higher bounce rate. So these are things that, like, if I'm honest, like I said, can give you 80% of what you need to know as a marketer right then. So you're looking at distribution. You're like, okay, you know, I'm going to go on LaunchBit. I'm going to check out some newsletters. I'm going to spend some time on Quora. I'm going to spend some time on Twitter. I'm going to, you know, I'm going to get all my friends to upvote my story on Hacker News. And you're going to throw all this time at this stuff. And then ultimately, you just want to see how that's going to bubble down through your funnel and like what it ends up in revenue at the end, right?
And what source really worked for you? What really pushed the needle? Yeah, absolutely.
100%. And that's, you know, that's what the metrics dashboard's all about. You know, you log in within 5 minutes, you've got the answer. You know, you've come with your question, you've got the answer, and then you're off in your startup actually applying what you've just learned.
Something you were going into that maybe we can go back to is you're more than just knowing what area you need to focus on. How much of the data that you can pull out of here helps you make the better decisions? So you were like kind of looking at profiles and starting to kind of profile the individuals and saying, oh, maybe the Hacker News crowd isn't the crowd I should be going after. You know, instead of just saying, oh, we need to work on this part of the funnel, what kind of actionable you know, metrics can you take out of it?
Okay, so let's say, for instance, like the activation stage of the funnel, like all the Quora traffic lands on that part, gets through the registration, and it just flops, right? At that point, that's where, if I'm honest, like a linear funnel is going to be good. So let's say you've got like a 3-stage part of that process, yeah. So someone's got to take an embed code, stick it on their site, and then they've got to click a button within their dashboard, right? So there's like 2-3 stages, whatever. Like a linear funnel can show you if there's a specific weak part of that. You know, and that's like the feature's not actually going to be in this demo, but that's something that we're adding. So where you see each of these metrics, very soon there's going to be like a little bar icon. You click that, and then just pops up a funnel that leads up to that metric, right? So you see the end goals of each of those funnels, and that's where you spend a lot of time checking out. Then you can look at the funnels and say, right, is there an obvious weak point? Yes or no. know that if there isn't an obvious weak point, okay, here's the 30 people who didn't get through that funnel. Email them, ask them, right?
I like that.
Here's their face. Here's their face. You can see on their timeline that these guys have all read your documentation. They've all read your blog posts. Right. You know, they should be converting. Why aren't they? Drop them an email, because this is what I mean. Like data driven can be a misleading term, right? So data can validate or falsify an experiment that you, as an entrepreneur, as a co-founder, have got. But at the end of the day, your numbers can't tell you what to do next in your startup, right? Like innovation can't come from data. Like validation on innovation can come from data, and so yeah, so the linear funnel can help just show you some obvious cutoff points, like like a complicated form, like a sucky landing page, and then after that, like it's got to be qualitative. Like you've got to be on, you've got to be getting out the building. I love it. So that's where like Bill, I said, the linear funnels aren't in this demo, but yeah, they very soon will be.
I love it. I love this whole idea of tracking people that aren't working during a specific part and then directly contacting them and finding out what's the issues.
Yeah, I really like that idea of like kind of getting beyond just the numbers and really trying to figure out psychologically even what's happening to prevent people from getting through. Because like you said, a lot of people will give you the lip service. They'll even spend the time to fill out your registration form. Then they say, phooey, I'm over it.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like I say, it's because we are dog fooding. Like in the very early days, like I said, we were having like we had quite a few people in like the very first email invitation, right? So they'd all jumped on the waiting list. Like I said, we had a couple of hundred people at the time on the waiting list. Okay. We sent them all an email, and it was like a terrible take-up rate. So I'm here like trying to email like these 300 people who had done these specific things, and I was like, hey Matt, I want to be able to do this in one click, right? So you can email everyone in one click, and yeah, there's a reason why that icon got there. Gotcha. So yeah, like the people screen is, like I said, when you need to get qualitative. So like today we had Subaru, right? The little rubber stuff that you put on iPhones and things, like you get it at hackathons. Right. Have you ever seen that? It's like this little rubber product. Anyway, so they signed up like 3 months ago, right? Okay, so they were like one of the first people to jump on our landing page, and then today like they just bubbled back up to the list. I saw the lady's name, I saw her name come up, and I'm like, wow, like great, checked out the timeline. Like not checked it out for 3 months, suddenly came back today, read a blog post. So I reached out straight away and I was like, hey, like sorry if this is a bit stalkerish like, but where have you been for 3 months? How come you never used us?
Dude, I love it. I love it, man. The whole stalking, I love it. Honestly, man, in the beginning as a small startup, you have to know what the hell's going on, man. You got to know what the hell's going on. Overall, man, I am so impressed with your product. I'm really excited about how how you're going to grow this thing.
Yeah. So I mean, like at the moment, like I said, so we expected to have a beta of like a few hundred people, okay? And we set ourselves a target. We were like, when we get the first 100 signups, we'll start writing code, okay? So on the first day we had. Sorry, go.
Actually, I want to go into that real quick. So you got the idea for the product. You worked up some mock-ups. You put together a landing page. How did you get the landing page out there? Did you throw it up on beta list? Did you throw it up Hacker News? How did you get some visibility there?
Yeah. So we actually did a LaunchRock site at first. Okay. And then it took like 5 minutes to make, not gonna lie. Right. And we submitted that to beta list, right? So Mark at beta list, cool guy, like great for like a one-time early adopter kind of promotion. Right. And he came back and he's like, this site's terrible. Like he's like I don't want to give you this one-shot chance you've got. Like he's like, the idea is great. He's like, but LaunchRock just sucks for new startups, right? So anyone listening to the podcast, like if you're selling to tech startups, right? So you're selling to founders, like they're not idiots. They've seen a LaunchRock site. Like they're very they know it takes 5 minutes. Yeah. So we went back to the drawing board. We spent like, I think it took us like 2-3 days to see the landing page that you see right now. Okay. And then we went back to beta list and we're like, here we are, and there's like, yeah, great, throw it up.
Oh my god, I'm so glad Mark pushed back on that, man. That's because it's beautiful. Because I have seen the bland LaunchRock with the email submit in the middle. You're like, okay, all right, move on.
I can't stand those personally. It's basically a wallpaper in one phrase.
Yeah.
it's not even effective, right? So I mean, we did like the friends, family, like, you know, I have quite an active Twitter account because of the last startup. So I knew I had like, you know, a couple of hundred startups follow me on Twitter, right. And we got enough traffic to the LaunchRock site to draw conclusions on the data. Okay. Like it's taken down now, but it converted at like 7%. Okay. And I'm like 7%, like that sucks, right? Like I'm not gonna. You know, we can't afford to push that traffic.
In your opinion, what would be a good conversion? Are you looking 20-30%? What's
So the landing page that you see right now, for the first 1,000 signups at least, that converted at 36%.
Oh wow!
So like that was, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like it's a much better conversion rate than we hoped for.
That's great, man. 36%. That is great.
But this is it. Like we put up that page, we saw 36, and we're like, right, move on. And we're like, should we A/B test this? Nah, like move on. It's good. Like,
you got the rest of the funnel to worry about. Yeah,
absolutely.
No, that's something you keep getting to, by the way, that I love, which I think is hard for people to remember, is like things not to do, or things that you like. Okay, well, let's do this later. Like you want to do it, but you really shouldn't.
Right. Yeah, it's like, you know, with two guys, like, so I mean, we've had no funding. Okay, so you know, with two guys, we've been given like a day of week to consulting. So that's cool. Like I used to have a co-working space, so I'm like consulting, helping other people set up co-working spaces. My co-founder's doing like some engineering. So we're like realistically a 4-day working week. We're gonna get we're gonna get like 60 hours a week, like of effective time each.
Right.
So
I think you said you had a girlfriend, right? I mean, obviously she needs a little bit of your time.
Well, Sophia, I mean, since we started speaking months ago, we're engaged now. So yeah, so I've got a fiance. Like,
oh wow, yeah. You know, listen, I'm married, and I do get the like. It's all startups, and that's all you care about is startups. That's all you do. You don't go outside. You don't go to the park. You don't meet your friends. You just stay at home. And I'm like, baby, you don't understand.
Yeah. So I think like I announced my engagement on Twitter. And like my fiance was like, you really should call your parents first. I was like, yeah, I should do that. I said, yeah. I was like, but that's where my friends are. Like,
no, that's good. That's good. I'm glad. So, hopefully, you are spending some time with your fiance.
Yeah.
I know this obviously takes a lot of your time.
Yeah. So this is it. Like two-person team. Like I said, we've stopped the consulting now, but so it's like a landing page. It works. Like I said, it's come down a bit now. So it's about I think it's like 19% now. But for like that first 1,000, like that really big initial spike from all the initial promotion, we did 1,000 signups at 36%.
That's great. So really briefly here, is this right now? Is this like a non-paid beta thing? Are you guys charging?
Right. No. So this is the interesting part, and like I mean, just to give some background on this. So before, like one of the things that, like I said, did kind of cripple our funnel in the last startup was we looked at revenue way too soon, right? So in this time, we were like, well, we're not going to worry about revenue at all. So once we had like well over 1,000 like startup signups, so we excluded anyone with a Gmail address, Yahoo, anything. Like it had to be like a named domain on the name.
Wow.
Once we got past 1,000 users, we were like, that's enough.
Okay.
And now actually, when you sign up, like I don't know if you actually just tell you what, should I quickly show you this demo?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me just screen share this. There we go. So what you can see right now is you sign up, and now we kind of say like that's great, thanks for this, but you're gonna go in a queue, or you can pay us $20.
Ah, this is genius. This is genius.
And I mean that took us, I'd say, half an hour of development time because it uses Gumroad.
I don't think I've ever seen anything like this where you jump ahead in the queue for
so we've never we looked for this, so we wanted to know if it was going to kill our acquisition, if people were going to hate us. Like I live on Quora, couldn't find anyone blogging about this. Right. Like no one, as far as I'm aware, has ever charged people to test a free beta product. Right? In this sense, like in a queue jump sense.
Yeah.
We now convert to paid users at 19%.
Wow.
So
fantastic. Is this the 30% and then 19% of those 30% or 19% in general?
So 19% of those. So if for every 100 people who join our waiting list, 19 of them will then instantly pay $20 to get their access code straight away.
Wow. Amazing.
Which like so we did $9 for a while, and then we're like, yeah, this is fine. We'll do $19, and now and like soon we're gonna do the $29 thing.
This is great, Liam. This is really great.
You know, it's like what was it? There's that bookmarking site that when Delicious went down, they charge like incrementally for every new user. They charge an extra couple pennies.
Yeah,
so it's only $5.50, but then the next user's $5.51, $5.52.
Yeah, and it's like so we get a lot of offers for funding from well not offers for funding, like people saying, hey, you guys raising funding, and like when you have those conversations, like because we're so early stage, like saying to them, oh, we've got a waiting list or we've got this many active users, like being able to say, well, actually, like 19% of everyone who signed up last, like 19% everyone who signed up last week paid us to use the product. All they'd seen is screenshots on a homepage, and we converted 19% to a paid customer. Like suddenly, like you know, the deal flow kind of thing of that investor is like, oh, okay, like these guys might be onto something. Okay. And likewise, if that conversion rate had been 0, we'd have either gone, well, is it the landing page that sucks, or is it that no one's ever going to pay for this product? Okay.
Right. Well, this is obviously way more than even a sign up. This is sign up plus a paid jump ahead in the queue. Double, so it's like a double opt-in or double validate, if you want to even call it that. Yeah,
and then after this, if someone decides not to, right? So 81% of people go, nah, I'm cool. Like, I know that you guys are giving me this for free, and I know the equivalent package will cost me $500 a month on Kissmetrics, but I'm just not going to pay you, right? So those guys, they then get an email saying, hey, it's going to be 2 months before you get an invite. Like, we have enough testers. You know, we're paying all these servers for free. Like, we did like 6 million events in our first month. Like, we've got enough. Or this is your last chance for $19.
Very nice.
You can, and then that converts, like, it's obviously not as high, but at the moment we're on about 4 or 5% conversion.
That's cool. About 5% of those guys said no initially. That's beautiful.
Yeah, so like it's like a 20% click through email, and then overall
I love it,
4
man.
or 5%.
Liam, I have to tell you, man, this is like sales. You're like killing it on the sales. I love it. I really love it.
I mean, so this is it. Like, it's all one-off payments because like integrating to Stripe. It's development bandwidth, right? Yeah. So this is like the platform we use is actually for selling ebooks. It's called Gumroad. It's a new startup. It's really cool.
Yep. I've heard of Gumroad. Yeah. Wow. So you guys using Gumroad for all the data processing and all that?
Integrating that was a lot quicker than Stripe. Even Stripe's popular among developers coming from like the authorized.net world.
Yeah. So like Stripe's awesome. I mean. Just as we were selling the last startup, I met with John Collinson, like one of the brothers who founded Stripe, and I was like, "Hey, like I'm thinking of this startup. We went for a coffee, and I'm like, I'm thinking of this startup, but we're going against like a huge market. Like, yeah, we're not chasing Omniture and Google Analytics, but there's some big players in this market. I think Mixpanel just raised like a huge funding round, and like how like." Am I stupid to thinking we're going to enter this market and make a difference? Right. And he was like, well, like, how do you think we feel? We're a credit card processing company.
I know. These guys going after the big giant gorillas. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he was like, there's a point when, no one's going to rip out a solution because they've already integrated, right? There's a development overhead. But if you get guys at the very, very beginning, before they've even made a technology choice, then it's fine. And that's where Stripe. That's where Stripe's killing it. That's why they're coming to £500 million company.
I love it.
So, but even then, Stripe's still what 2 days to have integrated this.
So
this took us less than 30 minutes.
I want to pause here for a minute here, Liam, because this is a very interesting, very valuable point you just talked about. In entrenched, mature markets like payments or analytics, it's okay for startups to go in and go after that land because there's lots of new guys joining on. They're looking.
If I were starting today and looking at Google Analytics and Omniture alone, right? Like just massive companies and incumbent. Yeah. But there's still room for plenty of people.
There's still room, and I love that. I love the fact that you went after this, man. I love, hats off to the Stripe guys because PayPal blows in many ways, man. It's so good. It's so
like any developer who set up like any subscription service like on the back end with PayPal, it's like.
Oh, I've done it. I found their bugs for them. It's not fun.
So Stripe awesome, and obviously, you know, we're going to be using Stripe. Like John's an awesome guy. Like, they're smashing it. So I'm not saying Stripe is not the payment provider. Obviously, it is. But as it like on the timelines that we're dealing with, like 1 day, 2 days, like that's significant. That's significant development bandwidth, right?
Right.
If we'd have thrown up that page with Stripe and it'd have flopped, we'd have wasted 2 days, gone, thrown away, right? Absolutely. If we'd have put up that Gumroad page in 30 seconds and it flopped, who cares? Like,
right.
Yeah,
okay. So it's worth it. Well, I have to say, Liam, I'm going to raise my cup to you for this amazing $19 click. Ready to join ahead of the queue. I think it's brilliant, man. Brilliant.
It's a genius hack. Have you got an article written up on Quora about it yet? I mean, if not, we'll throw the question up there for you.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, the $19 thing is probably like our most newsworthy thing right now. Like, which is cool. Like,
it's really great. I love it. It's the first time I've seen that. Yeah, it's really great. So really quickly, so you're no longer doing your development 1 day a week. Obviously, you got some paying customers.
Yeah, so the $19 it's a one-off payment, right? And because like they didn't go through Stripe, we don't have their credit card in a vault. So like there are some big downsides to that. Like if we'd have done that through Stripe, we'd have had their credit card in a vault. We could have said, hey, click this button and like you want a subscription. Yeah. So it's gonna bite us in the ass. But right now, like I mean, we're a startup. We're not here to make money. We're here to learn, right? Every $19 we get, it's not $19 in the bank. It's $19 worth of validation, right? Okay. So yeah, at the moment, like it's a couple of $1,000. Like it's not going to pay anyone's rent. Okay. But you know, it's that's the thing. So,
it's something. But you said that you're doing this full time now. So how's that working out?
Like it's hard. Like, you know, like, so the last startup we were funded from pretty much from day one. Okay. As I started that, I just sold a co-working space. I just sold an agency. So we had like
so you had a little bit of cushion. You got a little money.
Yeah, we had tons of money for the last startup. I'd say in 3 months, like we've achieved more than with all that money. And like I said, like that's not to put down the last company or the team. Like myself and my co-founder, we just weren't as smart as we are now, right? Okay. So we essentially, so you know. So we've gone through that. So what we can do now like T-shirts, right? One of our best activation hacks is T-shirts, right? Nothing original, like what? Startup swag, like T-shirts, 20 years old,
If you sign up now, we'll send you a T-shirt, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so people sign up, the startup founder or the head of the agency signs up, they're like, oh, Tracheo is awesome. And we're like, right, here's the API code. And they're like, I'll send it to the developer. Okay. So that developer guy is like, oh, I don't want to have to integrate this. I've got these bugs to fix. So we're that guy like, hey, do us first. We'll send you a T-shirt, right? Ah, okay. And it works. Like it's insane. Like for like, I mean, I think we spent less than £1,000 on T-shirts, right? It's all done by a fulfillment company. Like I don't, you know, we're not sitting here with a box of T-shirts, right?
And you know, honestly, man, you can do all these creative ideas because you've got a great way of segmenting what people are what part of the funnel, and then you can send them out specific offers to try to get them in. And I love that. I love that.
If someone doesn't integrate straight away, we're like, okay, like they need more work. Let's tempt them with a T-shirt. If someone integrates from day one, we're like, why waste a T-shirt? They've already done it, right?
Right.
So
I love it.
Yeah, and you know, and then there's a lot of stuff, you know, like loyalty and retention and like just looking after people. So we're sending out like so the T-shirts thing is really scalable. Okay, so T-shirts are cheap. It's all done by a fulfillment warehouse. We've sent T-shirts now to like Australia, Italy, like obviously all America, like Brazil. Like about 30% of our customers are in Brazil. Like the startup scene out there is insane. Like how fast that's growing.
Okay.
But so that's really scalable. One non-scalable thing that we're doing at the moment though is handwritten letters to everyone who does the $19 thing. Whoa. Right. Wow. So
man, you're not messing around.
but that's so that's a retention hack, right? So you know, like those users, they've paid before they've used the product, right? Yeah. They're then more likely to set up the code integration, and they do. Like the activation rate on those people is insane. Right. Like when we come around to saying, hey, like put in your credit card for $29 a month, like I want to make sure that they love us because we've looked after them. Right. So right now, like, you know, we're not going to do this jump the queue forever, which means we can afford to send people like a nice handwritten letter to Brazil saying thanks, like you've made a difference to our startup. Like, you're a startup, we're a startup.
Right.
Like, thank you.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that whole thing, you're a startup, I'm a startup, let's bond together, let's build this thing together, let's the camaraderie between small startups is something I don't think enough startups are exploiting, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I mean, I've tweeted and reached out to big funded startups. Obviously, you know, so based in UK, like it can be hard to get into the like Silicon Valley sort of scene, right? So when you tweet like a founder directly and say, hey, can I email you and ask you some questions? Like, you'd think that they'd say no, but actually, like, they do. They say yeah. So like I said, the co-founder of Stripe, John Collinson, right? I was like, hey, like, Stripe should be in UK. Oh, well, it's not. Okay, so I'll set off a hashtag across Twitter. So, like, going back a few months, we set off a Stripe for UK hashtag. Okay, got it trending, went really big. So then when he was coming over to London, I was like, oh, I'd really love to have 5 minutes of your time. Right. Is that cool? And he was like, okay. And I'm like, this guy's like building a £500 million company, right? And he'll sit and have just because you know, we're a founder, he's a co-founder. So and since then, I'm like, yeah, just ask people.
You know, that's it, Liam. It's just if you don't ask, you don't get. I'm even surprised when I reached out to people just for the show, and I'm like, they're probably not going to email back, and they email back. And it is amazing. It is amazing. I think it's so underutilized, and I'm glad we're talking about this. I think anybody who's listening to this show right now, if there are people that you want to reach out to that you're reading on TechCrunch or wherever else you've heard about, email them. Email them. Find a way. Put their first name, last name, and the domain. Email them. And
ask them. Like, so if they're a lot bigger, I gotta admit, like, I prefer like a tweet first. So I'm like, you know, I want to flirt a little bit before I ask them on a date. But you know, certainly if there's someone on a meetup, you didn't go along to the meetup because it's in another city, it's in another country. But just reaching out to people through meetup.com, like that's an insane way to circumvent. You know, like back in the day, like LinkedIn InMails, right? Like, they were the go-to tool if you wore a suit to work. People, like, for people who don't wear suits to work, meetup.com is the same sort of thing.
That's a great idea. So just going through all the different meetup groups and finding these guys on there. That's a good idea, actually.
And at the end of the day, like, you know, there might be a startup founder in the office, but they're actually a hiker on the weekends. So go to their hiking group, send them an email, be like, hey, I like hiking too. You like hiking. I'm also a startup founder. What do you reckon about this? Exactly. Like, you know, So yeah, I guess that's a creative way to get around that.
So Liam, what's your vision here for the next 6 months to a year? What do you got planned here for Tracheo?
So we need some funding soon. So we've been putting all the investors that reached out to us on like an update list, and we've been like sending people updates and like, this is what we're up to. So obviously it's going to be time to like activate that pretty soon. We're looking for so we're going to get like, really immediate stage like a sysadmin. So like I said, because it went a lot more successful with the beta than we expected. Like we don't do servers that well. Like Heroku's not exactly like scaling friendly if you don't want to, you know, take out a new credit card.
Gotcha.
So
Heroku is great, but for scaling it's very expensive.
Like it's great for your lean startup, but like our product is our data, right? And we need to know that there's a solid structure behind that. Obviously all the privacy stuff around at the moment, so you know, a lot of our customers, they want to know that their data is being stored within the EU. Of course. So then there's extra data protection and stuff. But yeah, so the next 6 months is like keep smashing the funnel, and then hit the go button on, you know, like throwing more people into the top of that funnel.
So Liam, why are you raising money? I mean, it sounds to me like, can't you get a sellable like V1 out there and start, you know, bootstrapping this, or what is it? Why do you need more money? Is it more people? What's driving that?
Yeah, so we're probably all about to run out of personal cash. So you know,
that's part of it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and like I said, we can bootstrap certainly to an extent, but like I said, at the moment, like bootstrapping is great, and that's awesome. And I think it's like, if you can't bootstrap an idea, you've probably not got a great idea, right? But we're going up against, like, there's like four names in particular, right? Like in our industry, they're all funded to hell, got really smart people, like doing slightly different things on the product, But they're smart guys funded to hell. So there's a certain amount of defensibility that we've got to think about. Like, while not being stupid with cash, like we need to like do a land grab, right? So analytics space in startups is still a land grab.
Okay.
Like I don't have to compete.
I love it. And I can tell you, once a guy joins on and sets all the hooks up in the API, the odds of them leaving you, as long as you're doing a good job, is probably pretty slim, right?
Like I said, the retention on a like once your data's in there, once they're happy with using the tool, like once they've scaled and they have a new like marketing employee and they know how to, or product manager and they know how to use the platform, like you know, retraining someone onto a new product, like that's a cost. So and like I said, because we are just inherently a simpler product to use, right? Like that's where we want to be. We want to be a simpler product. So why would you jump away to something more complicated that takes up more time?
Absolutely.
So I mean, yeah, we're only looking to raise like a couple of hundred, if that.
Oh really?
Tops.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
so not a huge amount.
So
okay.
No, I mean, like I said, we don't need any personal, like we really, I guess like because of like the previous stuff we've done, like we don't need salaries and all that sort of stuff. Okay. You know, so yeah, but it's like once our funnel's fixed, like we need to go on an acquisition land grab.
Okay, so let's go into my favorite. This is my favorite topic: acquisition. I know Quora's been working for you pretty good. What else out there for people that are trying to sell to startups? What would you recommend?
Yeah, so I mean, because obviously we're still like I said, we're 3.5 months in, right? So we've used like the one-off acquisition stuff. So we've used beta list, startup, early bird. Okay. Like so they've happened. Like we've had some big blasts, and they've given us like the first spike. So they gave us, you know, like the first 1,000 users, say, right? That's good. And then the next couple of 1,000 users, we've then fallen back onto content marketing. Like cliche, but obviously it works, right? Quora, like a good regular channel, but like the blog, like so the blog post pretty much from day one, like I made like just a commitment that each post was going to be great, and that's it.
I love it. So let's get into it. So do you have a specific word count in your blog? Like amount?
So if it's under 1,000 words, it's not a blog post for us.
Okay.
So I did write one post up, and it was like 6,000 words. So I split it up into 5 bits, right?
Okay.
So that's like that's too much.
Holy cow!
Right?
6,000 words.
So that was it was like
dude, that's
39
epic.
actionable.
Seriously epic posts here,
yeah,
man.
that's the one, right? So 39 actionable growth hacking tactics. Okay. Like the idea is when that's written up. Well, it's written. I've already wrote that. So that's 5 blogs. That's 1 epic SlideShare presentation. It's 1 free Udemy course. It's a 7 email drip campaign. Like that's 1 set of content.
Wow.
But because it's good, I can use that content across 5 different mediums, right? And that's the thing. So
you know, hold on. We need to slow down here. So how long did it take you to write this thing, man? And how did you?
It's like that's like 2 days of writing. Like don't get me wrong. Like that's including research and stuff. That's like sitting down for 3 hours a day and then 3 hours the next day. Okay. Because like I do make sure that, like I was saying earlier, I never do like too much of one thing in a day, you know.
Okay, gotcha. So growth hacking, did you go in the Google keyword tool and look for, okay, let me see what the phrases are, what the search volumes are, and use that for the title, or did you just come up with the title?
100%. Yeah. So growth hacking, like I love all the posts that are like, oh, it's such a horrible, crappy word. Right. So is gamification, right? But those gamification blogs a year ago, they went huge, right? So growth hacking, growth hacker. If you go on Google Trends, like they're going through the roof. If you compare that to like lean startup, that's like leveling down. You know.
That's good. So you want to ride the coattail of these trending these words, right?
It's the definition of a growth hacker. Like so growth hacks, they go in steps, right? Like you find something that works, you smash it, it tails off. So infographics, right? Like only a fool would spend money on infographics right now. Okay, like what a stupid way to spend content marketing budget. But all the really non-innovative companies now are like, oh, we made an infographic. No one cares, right?
Nobody cares.
Like 2
so
years
funny,
ago,
man.
3 years ago.
What is it, like a year, 2 years? These shelf life for these trends?
Yeah, like I mean, some things, So yeah, like a growth hack, is like something smart and innovative. So yeah, the Hotmail footer message, the Dropbox referral stuff. Like but it doesn't last because everyone does it. It saturates the market. Users hate it. So you know, there's a load of startups that still import your email inbox, and the only time you hear about them now is people complaining about how spammy they are, right? So yeah, growth hacking, growth hacker, like lean marketing funnel, like they're just hot organic words right now.
What have you found? Let's say once you started writing these things, what kind of inbounds were you getting? Were you getting quite a bit?
Yeah, so I mean the blog accounts for about 30% of the signups that go through our funnel now. So yeah, like 30% of the traffic that comes into the product entered first through the blog. And obviously, you know, we have a mailing list that backs that up. But I actually did a blog post on how we're like hacking our posts right now. So I won't write a blog post unless I can mention other products. And those products have to be small enough that they'll actually retweet my tweet when I ask for it. Okay.
Oh,
so
interesting. Oh, okay.
so
that's a good idea. So you target smaller content publishers out there, but with the expressed intention of maybe they'll retweet the content once it's published.
Yeah. If it's a case study, it's hey, I just use you as a case study. Hey, I just used your product as a case study. Hey, I just mentioned you in this post. And like, I don't know if it's spammy, I don't know if it's engineered, but like if it's relevant, okay. So I'm talking about like drip emails, okay. So Tracheo right now doesn't send emails on action, so it gives you intelligence from the analytics, but then a lot of people want to send drip campaigns on
drip campaigns on the events,
yeah. So customer.io, UserFox, like GetVero, like all these companies are in that space. Like lots of really smart guys. So anytime we're talking about that, I make sure that we're mentioning them.
And you mentioned them, right? In fact, we had Chris from GetVero on actually several episodes ago.
Great product.
Yeah. So I mean we've actually used all of the email stuff. I mean we at the moment so we've settled on customer.io, and just because now Tracheo has like an automated integration to it and stuff. So so whenever we talk about drip email campaigns, we'll mention a few vendors and then we'll ask those vendors to promote it, and we'll mention a few people and they promote it.
Brilliant. So I noticed you had AdRoll. You mentioned AdRoll in here. We've also interviewed those guys. So you may approach AdRoll and say, "Hey, we wrote about you in this article. It'd be great if you send it out to your network." How do you phrase that in a delicate manner? Do you just go out right for the ask, or how do you say?
Yeah, 100%. Hey, can you retweet this post we talked about you?
I love it.
Okay.
Don't beat around the bush.
So it sounds like a fanboyish, but obviously because the product is really based on Dave McClure's metrics, like the first time that Dave McClure actually favorited our links and then retweeted them, I was like, yes.
No, come on, man. Dave McClure is the man. There's nothing wrong with being a fanboy of Dave McClure.
But like it's the same principle, and that's scalable, right? Like there is no reason why you can't do that in all your blog posts. Like you're talking about people, tell them like. Don't play on their baser human instinct of vanity, okay? So hey, right now, like I'm stroking your ego. I just mentioned you in this post, like, and it works, like 30% of the time, which is 30% more tweets than your post was otherwise going to get.
30% conversions on those. That's beautiful. All right, so how often, really quick here, Liam, are you publishing to your blog? Once a week? Once every couple of weeks?
So we were twice a week. And like I said, at the moment it's slowed down. It's probably gonna be like once a week for the next month or so. Like I won't. So I learned this in on previous clients in the last startup. Like reposting other people's blogs and stuff like that. Like I know some people do it. I think that's a crap idea. Like if you've not got something original, innovative to say.
I know from an SEO perspective, I'm not sure if Google's going to give you a lot of credit, but it is good content for your audience.
I think there's Tumblr's reblog, right? Like great growth hack for them, filled up their content. Like, is it noise or is it signal? Like, what's the actual engagement? Like okay, so you reposted someone else's blog, it had 100 tweets on the tweet button, so people must have read it, right? Like no, like they went looks smart, I'll share it with my network and tweet it, right? And so I want out, if our blog has 20 posts, another analytics startup's blog has 100 posts, but 80 of them are other people's content, right? Like their 20 is lost in the noise. So I definitely see our blog as like it's low volume, high quality content.
love it. I love
And yeah.
I love
mean,
the fact
again,
that these posts are so big and they're epic, man. That's huge. That's a big deal.
And your numbers show it, right? I mean, you're tracking this, right, to see how much of your audience is coming directly from your blog.
Yeah.
And it seems, you know, and you can even say like how many of them are converting compared to the others. So you know, it seems like you can attribute the quality of your blog to maybe the amount of people that you know, put the tracking code on after they registered.
Yeah, 100%. Like so like I said, the blog channel is already like insanely effective for us, and then obviously, you know, then we promote those blogs outside and different sources about. But in terms of like the entry point, the blog's growing like week on week. The proportion of users who come first through the blog is increasing. The blog's a great way to like pull us users back. So you know, we're not putting up little guides. They're not news guides. It's like, here's a new topic, called growth hacking. Like, we're going to teach you about it, okay? Like, if you wanna see loads of other reposted content, like I'll show you the startup blogs who do that. Like, fill your boots. But we'll send an email out every time we build up 3 posts. And those emails are like 60% open rate, 20% click through rate. Wow. And you know, that's on a big list. It's not like we're dealing with like, you know, just like a couple of hundred people. So these are thousands of people opening the emails every time. There's no drop off.
Fabulous. That's fabulous.
And
I love the fact that you've got all this analytics. You're tracking conversions. I mean, you know what the hell's going on behind the scenes. Really.
It's a lot easier to say things like when we put up a 2,000 word post, like forget tweets and likes and that stuff. It created more signups, and then those users were more likely to activate. And when we have users who have signed up and not yet activated, we can see the percentage that then go off and read a certain post, and then if they're more likely to come to then log back into the dashboard and activate.
Absolutely. We had a great guy from Conversion Excel. His name is Pep. That's all he does. Talks about conversions. Talks about these long epic posts that he writes. And content marketing is where it's at, man, for startups. For sure.
I mean, the number one best example, like in the entire world, right, in my opinion, of long blog post content is Nerd Fitness. Okay, so this guy just goes around being fit and healthy. And writes a 5,000 word post every now and again, right? And then he'll email the entire contents of the post to his email list, right? So you get the email, and it's not like click the link to read the post. The entire content's in the email.
Thing is an email.
Oh wow. Okay.
I've seen him send out like 10,000 word posts.
Wow.
Right. Wow. And they work. Like it's his full-time job running this blog. Like it pays for him to travel the world. And it's like the long form content. It just it works better. Like if someone's not bothered to sit and read 1,000 words, like they're just not interested. Like 300 word posts are for when you're flicking through your RSS feed on your iPad. When our users get into our content, like we're educating them to use our product.
I love it. Listen, Jeff and I have heard this sermon many times from many startup founders, and I tell Jeff, all right, Jeff, at the end of this month we're gonna have 4,000 or 5,000 word essays, blog entries we're going to launch on our site, and we have it on our to-do list, and then we never get around to it, or Jeff does a little bit, and I'll do a little bit, and we'll never get it. I have to commend you, man. The fact that you're sitting down for 6 hours for 2 days each day and doing it, man. That's
well, I mean,
what are you finding? What are the things to get you in that writing mode? Do you go around collecting a lot of articles first, sources, and then how do you get the juices going? Do you just shut everybody off? Do you pull the internet cable out? I mean, what is it that you're doing?
Yeah, so like the little things, like the tactics, such as closing everything down, like writing in like a complete minimal thing. So like WordPress does this, so you can make WordPress go completely full screen. You just see the text on a white background, nothing else, right? So like little tactics like that help, but like ultimately to sit and just focus, because I'm like my university background is astrophysics, right? So I've not written an actual essay since I was in school. Okay, so to me, like everything should be bullet points. Like why say something in 20 words if you can use 5? To start writing is it was so unnatural to me. So I just bullet point the whole thing, right? So I'll post content title, and I'll come up with 30 or 40 titles that I think might be cool topics, right? Then I'll log into WordPress, and I'll be like, okay, which one do I fancy writing right now? So you know that because some topics are more interesting based on what you've been reading that week. Okay, yeah. I'll go into one. I'll do 7 headline titles, like roughly the skeleton, and then I'll go off and find a few links, read some of the blogs on this area, but only ever skim the blogs, right? Because you don't want to spend too long. You want to try and like have the first draft finished in less than an hour. Okay. And then just bullet point each section, and then once the whole thing is done as bullet points, start turning each bullet point into a sentence. Then when all that's done, start linking people up. Then start finding like, okay, who are the people who back this up? Who are the startups who back this up? And the whole process, like, eventually you can get it down to like an hour. So like the Buffer guys, like their guest blogging strategy is like insane.
Genius.
And like most of their content, like for a while, like for about a month, I think they just put out a ton of posts about how they wrote all those posts.
Right.
So there's you know, and like so there's like, not to repeat anything, but like there's some amazing tactics there, and it's like, just don't think about it. Like, some posts are disposable, so you know, you can edit them later. You can just delete them off your blog if you're embarrassed because the content was a bit outdated or a bit rubbish. Like, but the posts that I'm writing, like I said, I'd like to think, you know, write them, reread them, close it down, come back, reread it. Like, who can I link up? Because I'd rather put out a great post in a week than 5 posts, 3 reposts, and 2 little news headlines. Okay. But yeah, like once you get the first one out, you sit, you write, you don't stop writing until you've finished your skeleton, like outline. Like, it's easier than you think. And you know what? Like, if all you do is the headlines and the bullet points, hit publish. See if anyone reads it.
All right,
I love it, man. I think you've got an analytical approach to this, man. You make it sound simple. Everyone has trouble, you know, taking that first step. But I really appreciate the approach you're saying, which is just kind of outline it and elaborate from there. Start with start with just headlines and just start with what you're passionate about and see what else people are writing about and kind of just work your way into it. And I love what you're saying. Just hit publish. You know, a lot of times it's just so hard to
you can always edit.
It's always so hard to feel comfortable publishing it out there, but really, if you don't publish, it doesn't count.
So I mean, like I'll admit, like on a previous startup, we hired a ghostwriter for a while. Okay, so amazing writer, like professional blogger, writes for a bunch of like tech magazines, online tech blogs. Right. And she's like, I can ghostwrite your style about topics. Okay. Great. And like I read them back, and it showed me like my own writing style, like that I never realized. Okay. And then I was like, like, how have you done this? How have you made it sound like me? And she's like, oh, well, I noticed you always use really short sentences, and you will always use contractions, and you'll always use bad grammar. So I was like, okay, like,
I like the bad grammar.
So like when we got rid of that, like, so I do the bullet points, and then I'm like, right, quickly make this a contraction. Quickly shorten these sentences, and so I like as if I'm trying to copy how I usually write, if that makes sense, just so that I can quickly just get through it out, turn the content into like real form sentences and get it out there. But like ultimately, in my mind, what I'm publishing is just a scientific journal type report. You know, bullet points, headlines, do these things, get it done. You'll do this.
Yeah, based on your background, it makes absolute sense. Very authoritative, very factual. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Research based and
wow.
But and then just once you've written it once, it's a SlideShare presentation. It's probably a Quora post. It's a Udemy video. It's a screencast if you want. So like repurposing content is how you start appreciating the ROI on those long form posts, you know.
Nice. That's really smart. Like, I haven't heard that from a ton of people. I mean, I think social media is just trying to broadcast on as many channels practically as we can. But you know, having really valuable content is the heart of it, and taking it, cutting it into 5 posts like you have, you know, where it's become a course of its own, and then you put it on other places like SlideShare or.
So you guys are perfect. Like you've got all the podcast library, right? So this is show 89, 88, I think.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Right.
90. So 95 actually. We've got some that we haven't published it yet. Yeah.
Okay. So you've essentially got like 90 blog posts just sitting waiting to happen, right? And then you've got another series of blog posts, which is 100 things we learned from 95 startup founders, right?
Right.
Exactly.
And then you've got an email guide series, and so outsource, get everything transcribed, outsource all that.
Right.
Then outsource someone building summary reports and pulling all the bullet points out. And then you guys you've got the podcast, you've got the videos, you've got a guide, you've got an email training series, you've got a bunch of guest posts. Like which blog's not going to take a post from, these two guys have interviewed 100 startup founders. This is what they learn, right? Right. So you've already done all the content, you've done the hard work, and then it's like, how many different formats can I get that content out for?
Yeah, I completely agree. Listen, Liam, I tell you, I've had an amazing time with you today, man. This has turned out really great. I know we tried hooking up before, and
yeah,
I'm really glad we got you today, man. I hope we can come back to you in a few months and see how things are going.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think that'd be awesome. Cool. And like I said, we've made a promo code today for like all your listeners.
Okay.
So if anyone wants to go and like skip the queue,
we'll make sure to put that on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can like skip the queue without paying the $20 if you use hot coffee, all one word, all caps.
I love it.
Hot coffee.
Hot coffee, all caps. All right.
All caps. So they can jump into the Tracheo beta. Okay. I think we've enabled it for like the first 200 users or something.
Okay. Awesome. I love that.
So yeah, and then I can come back and tell you how those 200 users of that promo code went through, how much money you made us.
Yeah, the whole funnel. So if people want to get a hold of you, Liam, what's the best way to do that?
Okay, yeah. So on Twitter, obviously at Liam Gooding, or Tracheo is at track_io. Which is annoying because no one's like, I want the other Twitter handle. And yeah, can email us anytime. Like one thing we're really big on is transparency. So every email comes from Liam at Tracheo or Matt at Tracheo, who's my co-founder. Right. Like we'll Skype with any beta tester. We'll do WebExes. Like at the moment, like if people are willing to invest their time in testing our product, giving us feedback, paying us money, like the least I can do is give them a way to call me,
Absolutely.
So I think like a few people have been like really shocked when I've given them my my mobile phone number, so my cell phone number, and I've said, yeah, call me up, like let's talk on this over the phone.
I love
that. And I think, do you know what I mean? Like people are like, wow, like, but I'm not even paying you anything. I'm like, you're giving me your time.
Listen, man, Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this in the whole thank you economy, the whole direct small town. The internet's made everything kind of closer. I completely believe that, man. I completely believe that. I love the fact that you're giving your phone number out and you're talking to people. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, like there'll be 1 in 1,000, and it's a bad idea. But if I've already given my phone number out to 999 customers, like that's not a problem. Like that's fine. That's a good thing.
I love it.
I would love to hear it. Man, we really appreciate your stories, and the out-of-the-box thinking really strikes me. All of the tricks and, the growth hacks, charging to jump the queue and things are really genius, and we love to hear when people aren't just following the model of what you're supposed to do, but really taking an analytical look at the situation and making creative moves like that, doing something that no one's done before.
Yeah.
Makes a big difference.
100%. I mean, I guess that's a problem with like best practice or case study. Like if you read someone else's growth hack, it's been done, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So like the payment, like the pay to jump the queue thing, like no one else has done that. So we can actually like hand on heart say that's a growth hack.
Right.
Right. I don't know why I keep air quoting, but so
it is quite a quotable word these days.
Yeah, I like it's like I'm not sure if I believe it myself yet that it should be in a dictionary word, but
right.
Like so I think that's the thing. Like there's best practice, but ultimately like what people should learn from this, and when you read the other case studies, is not like, oh, let's do it because Dropbox did it. It's okay, what thought process allowed them to come up with that idea? How can we put ourselves as a startup team into that mindset, into that frame of mind?
That. Yeah, absolutely.
So just because we see like Kissmetrics, Keen.io, Mixpanel, Google Analytics, just because they do something a certain way doesn't mean it's working for them, right? So that's why we try and do stuff different.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, you're just chasing, other startups.
So, final question here, Liam. If you have any last parting advice for any startup guys out there, small teams starting up, 1-2-man operations, what would it be? Thinking about it, maybe just started building something.
Give away T-shirts. Honestly, like you have no idea how like the ROI of a $10 T-shirt, right?
Yeah.
Like Google AdWords should start shaking in their boots because someone's going to set up just a T-shirt distribution, like take away all these startup. But no, so seriously, yeah. So like the honestly, like the best advice I think I can say is, yeah, just like focus on one thing. And like even when you think you're focusing on one thing, you're still probably looking at other things. So leave that list of bug fixes, forget about that feature list. Like at the moment, today, this week, we're dealing with activation. Like forget stop blogging, stop doing podcasts, like forget all your new acquisition stuff because you've got 1,000 users who right now need you to get them to sign up.
Yeah.
Or you've got 1,000 activated users who right now they've got a credit card, it's your job to get it out of them. And I think yeah, too many startups try and do, like when you're a small team, like you 2, 3, 4 people, like you just can't do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Not well, anyway. And yeah, like distribution hacks are amazing. Like reading about how Dropbox got all those users is fantastic.
Right.
But if Dropbox didn't have a beautiful, seamless credit card like funnel like process,
Right.
would have all been wasted.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Completely agree.
Good point.
That's great. That's really great. Well, it's
Awesome.
it's been awesome having you on, Liam. Thank you so much for coming on today, man. Really appreciate it.
It's been a ton of fun. And yeah,
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to seeing all the blog posts and the guides and the email series and the SlideShare presentations and the Quora answers and from the Hot Coffee team. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna be busy.
Yep.
Cool stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We'll be busy writing there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we really appreciate your time, and we look forward to giving this code out to our audience, and hopefully a bunch will sign up and start trying, Tracheo.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Cool. Cheers, guys.
All right. Have a good day, man. Good night.
All right.
Enjoy the day.
Thanks.